What up everyone, True Blue here, and today we are looking at Kamen Rider Build. Phenomenal season, by the way. And just like many other seasons previously, I am going to redesign a couple suits, make some new ones, have some fun with it. Basically, I'm just looking at some suits in the build season. If they have some things I don't like, some things the fans don't like, I'll fix it, replace it, whatever the case. Maybe make some theoretical forms. You'll get the gist pretty quickly. I've done tons of other seasons, as you can see on screen. If you want to check any of those out, I highly recommend you do so. And on top of that, subscribe, because I will be making more eventually. I have plans for Showa, and basically all of Heisei Phase 2 is gonna get a video at some point, so. Anyway, are you ready? So first up, from the Grease movie, Metal Build, the most disappointing villain suit I've ever seen in my life. We've had so many villain Kamen Riders, especially in Reiwa, and oh my god, Metal Build is it's just Build Hazard. It is just Build Hazard. There's not even anything unique about it. It is Build Hazard, which itself has multiple forms, and the only difference in Hazard forms, unless it is Rabbit Rabbit or Tank Tank, is the helmet. Metal Build is, what if you had two gray tank halves? Like, that's, oh, it irks me so much. And I know in the movie he becomes like, was it Phantom Build? And he gets like the Trooper armor or whatever, which is like, it's neat, I guess. I still don't really like that suit either. Because that doesn't use any gimmick items, I'm gonna just not talk about it and pretend that doesn't exist. Metal Build, the Kamen Rider, the suit itself, again, is just Hazard. So, for sake of I assume they still want to keep some form of Phantom Build towards the end of the movie. So the suit itself, I want to keep very non-crazy, like very simple. And on top of that, I just want to spice it up just a little bit, like just something, a little bit of sauce, all I ask. So here's OG Metal Build. It is Hazard, just Hazard. If you put two tank halves, usually you'd get Tank Tank. So here's Metal Build with pieces from Tank Tank. It's not that complicated. So many people I've seen online say, what if Metal Build was Tank Tank? Or like a variant of Tank Tank? And I'm like, yeah, that's what they should have done. Neither here nor there. For this design, I simply took Metal Build and just gave him the shoulders and the shin armor from Tank Tank form. Because the thing is, when he becomes Phantom Build, whatever that form's called, it's mostly like upper armor. But when he's in this form, if just little bits of like, yeah, he is still Tank, you know? Because the eyes clearly don't give away that it's supposed to be the tank bottles, you know? Like, I think having the shoulders, which are very clearly tanks, and then the treads, because those have some form of use, just, it's a little bit of sauce. It's a little bit of sauce. It makes Metal Build slightly more visually interesting. And if you were to make it like Phantom Build, you could incorporate it still. Like, you don't have to do anything with the legs, but like, you could incorporate like little cannons on the shoulder still. Like, that works fine. I don't see any problem. And this next one, I don't really know if you can count it as like a new form, but I decided to reference something else with one of the full bottle matches. One of the combos is Smartphone Wolf. One of the funnier combos, till you realize it's a Fies reference. I know the amount of people like mind blown. Like, no, it's a reference to Kamen Rider Fies. The smartphone, that's what he had. Well, I don't know if you want to call it a smartphone, but he had a phone. And Fies, spoiler alert, it is the Wolf Overknock. So, like, there's your reference. So I just wanted to have a little fun with it and colored it to be more akin to Fies instead of having it be the blue. So here's the original, the blue, silver, which I think is fine. I don't have any problems with any of the separate halves of the build suits. I think build across the board, phenomenal suit design with the half and half mechanic. So no complaints there. But I did want to reference Fies, because I like Fies. So here's the new one. I know it's kind of like, it seems a little lazy. I did try. For one, the blue is red now. You know, Fies' primary color is usually represented with red, even though that's more of the highlight or like accent. But that's the color typically associated with Fies. He still has the silver, and since there's the black undersuit, like, it's literally Fies' colors. I switched the eyes to more of an orange. Well, Fies, it's more of a yellow, it seems, in the suit. A lot of art depicts it with orange, so I'm putting orange. And I colored most of the helmet black because Fies' helmet is primarily black, just to add a bit to that. I also have the red line now. It pops more, so you can see, you know, where we're, like, formed, like, in the Fies suit. And the last thing is, for the smartphone shoulder piece, I put the Fies emblem. Just, a little extra touch to everything. So now we're going to move on to the 2 new forms, because these were the ones, this is the reason I made this video. First, we're going to start with Rogue, Kamen Rider Rogue. Great suit, love it, love the character. But in Kamen Rider Build, Rogue's the only one who doesn't have a primary power-up in the season proper. He does have one in, I believe, the Hyper Battle DVD is when he gets Prime Rogue. Great suit. It's still basically the Rogue suit, but it looks nice. Now, Grease did get a power-up very briefly, but he did get the rawest power-up, I think, in the entire franchise. If you have seen the Grease Blizzard debut, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's raw, all right? That is top 10 debuts in Kamen Rider for me. Number 1, Grease Blizzard. That episode, oh my, it's so good. He uses the knuckle. And Cross, while his final form is a bit debatable, in the season proper, it's supposed to be Cross Magma. And that also uses a knuckle. You have a fire ice knuckle. There's the magma and the blizzard knuckle. What if Rogue used a knuckle? I know it's going to sound a little weird, but I think it'd be cool if you had like a trio. These 3, the other riders that assisted Build. Like, Build will always be genius, of course. But the other 3 use his inventions. They use the knuckles, and they tap into an element that represents their personality in a way. And to complete the trio of this ice and fire, I figured, why not go with thunder, lightning, electricity? I feel like that's a good trio right there. It's a very common trio we see in many forms of media and franchises. So I gave Rogue the lightning knuckle, and using the Crocodile Zap full bottle, which, I mean, like, come on, it writes itself. It writes itself. The Crocodile Zap full bottle. I present to you Rogue Storm. Just like Grease Blizzard before it, I wanted to keep it very samey. Very much like it's still that suit. Like, you look at it, it's like, yeah, they retouched it. The Grease suit, that's Grease Blizzard. We retouched Rogue suit, we have Rogue Storm. The big difference, for one, the helmet, I did remove the little crocodile eyes, so now they are meant to be identical halves of the helmet, and they're a bit thinner and sharper at the top. They're meant to look a little bit like lightning now, like lightning bolts form that crocodile mouth instead of a crocodile proper. The shoulder pads are now coming from Rabbit Tank Sparkling. The white highlights of Sparkling work so well with Rogue suit, it's not funny. But now it's lightning shoulder pads. Nice little touch. The symbol, little emblem on the chest, is a combination of the 2 forms he's taken previously with Bats when he was Night Rogue, and then Crocodile, of course, from his main Rogue appearance. The other thing was Prime Rogue had a cape, and that's fun, and I think it does fit the personality of Rogue by the end of the show being very eccentric. I wanted to tone it down just a little bit, so I gave Coattails. This is from Cross Evil, Cross's movie form. And again, the white works so well with all the white on Rogue. I kept all of the white there. I think it works so well. It flows so well. The lightning. The only thing I really changed besides all that is purple on the eyes, just to reference back to the original color of the suit. I know the other ones don't do that. They just have red eyes, but I thought it would look nice with Rogue. Overall, this is genuinely one of my favorite suits I've made in this series of mine. Like, again, the idea of having this trio, but you have your primary rider and then you have your trio. Their final forms are all different elements using a similar gimmick. This is Rogue Storm. He uses, I guess it would be called the Storm Knuckle, but he uses the Crocodile Zap full bottle. I'm sorry, I love that name that I made. And he just gets, it's a simple recolor. It's not too crazy. It fits with what Magma and Blizzard did before it. I have no complaints. Genuinely have no complaints. I love how this turned out, and I'm so happy about this. Next, I want to get into something that just bothers me as a fan of Kamen Rider. And that's when other characters get access to things the primary doesn't, because I know some people think the show focuses too heavily on the primary Kamen Rider in some cases, and not enough on the others, or whatever the case. Like, I get it. I get it. But me as consumer, me as caveman brain, primary, one on show, primary writer, get everything. That just how my brain works. So the fact that literally all the other Kamen Riders use the Splash Driver except Build bothers me so much. And, like, it's not a bad thing. I don't mind the fact that Build never uses the Splash Driver. I'm fine with that. But, like, he could have. He definitely could have. So the question is, what would his form be? Well, Rabbit Jelly. I know in the show they're like, oh, it doesn't work with anything except dragon. They just said that, so they didn't have to make more jellies. I'm just saying, rabbit jelly. Retcon, rabbit jelly. So using cross-charged as a base and taking a bit of cues from Greece, I present to you Build's rabbit jelly form. Now, for one, this is going later into the show. When we have their, like, gay forms, that's what I call cross build. Rabbit becomes gold, dragon becomes silver. That's kind of the colors associated with them that isn't the standard reds and blues. So because of that, since Cross is a silver with his jelly, I wanted Bill to be a gold to kind of, like, theoretically, it would be foreshadowing, even though this is obviously being made after. I think it'd be cool if it's, like, a pseudo foreshadowing to that later form and that kind of connection. It's already there, like, this early in the show. So it is just a gold version. I know Grease's suit exists, but I did make it just a gold version of cross-charged. Everything is now with this lighter red, bordering on pink. The big difference is, for one, the forearms come from Rabbit, so you can still have a bit of the little spring action, because it felt too weird putting it on the legs of the suit. The shoulder pads, what is it? The Phoenix half of the suit from one of his combos. I just liked how it looked overall, because, well, the jellies just have them on the shoulder pads. I feel like it just didn't work for Rabbit for me. Like, it just felt like they did what they could with the jellies, you know? Like, they just have these square shapes. There's only so many ways you can aim squares on the shoulder. So I did rid of those and just put these nice spiky little jellies. They don't really reference anything Rabbit related, but the fact that using it, the Slash Driver is supposed to make you a bit more violent compared to Build's standard flat shoulder pads. These are a bit spikier, so it's different. The helmet is just, if I shave down cross charges spikes, put 2 gold rabbit eyes, that's the suit. That is the helmet. That's what they would have done. And the chest piece is a giant version of course, the rabbit eye, the rabbit insignia, just like how cross charged have it. I didn't want to do anything like Grease, because obviously Grease was working with something completely different. And those are really the forms I have for this video. Not as crazy as my other ones, but I mean, like, Rabbit Jelly and Rogue Storm carry this video so hard, in my opinion, especially Rogue Storm. My god, do I think I absolutely killed it with that suit. But, like it is tradition for these Heisei riders, I like giving forms based off of Geo. Kamen Rider Geo, the anniversary of all the Heisei riders, took their powers like a jerk. So they're taking it back, plus some. I've given it to the past riders where they had various Geo forms. Build, unfortunately, when it comes to Legend Rider forms, we have seen it with X8, and he works just like Decade. He uses 2 full bottles, creates another best match, that turns him into that rider. Unfortunately, I wasn't going to go through the effort of making the half and half like in the games, because, well, technically you could have a Doctor and a game half for X8. When they come together, it still forms X8, you know? So I couldn't do that without breaking the rules that were established. So this is just the build suit. So yeah, there's the build driver on Geo. The bottles I gave are the pink Rider Time and the gold or Demon King. Using the Rider Time and Demon King full bottles, you create Geo. Because that's what Geo is. Kamen Rider, Demon King, it works. And I know some people will be like, but there's literally, like, the clock full bottle or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I could have used that to represent, like, time or something. But I wanted the Rider Time reference and, like, Rider Clock. That could have worked as a combo. But I don't know. It just felt so weird using it. I know it's cool for, like, the toy line, because I know some of the other riders use one of the standard full bottles plus a new one to get the best match. I don't like that, only because, with the exception of Rabbit Dragon, I dislike them breaking away from how the rules are established, where it's one full bottle matches with the other. Rabbit Dragon is meant to be the only exception, so it does irk me a bit. Now, being said, that is all 5 suits I made for this. It's arguable if I can really say I made 5 suits when one of them is just Geo. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you really enjoyed. Build overall has such a strong lineup of suits it's hard to actually make complaints. I know a lot of people don't like Cross Charge. I actually really like that suit. I know it's very different from the other suits that Cross uses, but I really like it. Build's just a great season overall. I will be just talking about it because it's just it's a good season. Anyway, now that the experiment's over, I'm gonna let you all go, and I'm gonna wish you all a lovely day.